Hi, and welcome to Effective Storytelling. Our 5-minute stories have one key purpose: to connect life to learning in an entertaining way. There are no heroes or villains, just ordinary people providing extraordinary learning, often making you smile and usually making you think. So, on with today's story. Hold that call. The supervisor of a payroll processing team had a real problem. Due to staffing shortages, illness, and the installation of new technology, a backlog was building, and in turn this was having an impact on the accuracy of the payroll. Mistakes were occurring in people's pay packets. We discussed the problem. The main concern was that whenever staff tried to address the backlog, the number of incoming calls was such that they were always distracted from the task. So we decided to go with the following idea. The supervisor wrote to all company staff, firstly apologising for the payroll errors, secondly explaining why the errors had occurred, and thirdly making this request. We would like to dedicate 1 hour a day between 8:30 and 9:30 a.m. to tackling the backlog. We would therefore really appreciate it if you could save any calls you want to make to this office until after 9:30. If the matter is so urgent you do have to call before then that's fine. But if it can wait until after 9:30, we would really appreciate it. The result was amazing. Within a week of the email, internal telephone traffic dropped by 78%. Within a month, the backlog had been removed and the system was back to error-free normality. The supervisor wrote to all staff again, explained all was now back to normal, and thanked them for their support. There's an even more surprising twist to this tale. 6 months later, I happened to be visiting the same supervisor and discovered that the internal incoming telephone calls between 8:30 and 9:30 had stayed low, despite the follow-up email. Incoming calls during that hour were still 50 to 75% lower than before the first email. This meant that her team were able to plan maintenance-type work, team meetings, etc., during that hour, knowing that phone traffic would be relatively light then. We often complain that we are driven by events, rather than that we drive events. But people are not mind readers. If there is no predictable shape or pattern to the day, it may be because we haven't asked for one. Not only did the supervisor ask for a pattern to be created, she did so by firstly apologising for the error and then explaining how the pattern would help her readers, her customers. So not only did she ask for a pattern, but she gave her customers a reason, a benefit for conforming. The other key lesson is that a pattern once established tends to continue. We are all creatures of habit, of routine. It is easier to maintain routines than to break them. There are several takeaways from this story. Sharing can pay off. A crucial factor in the success of this example is the willingness of the payroll supervisor to share her problem with those who were most affected by it. She took her customers into her confidence. She apologised, explained the reason for the problem, explained her solution, and asked for their support. These 4 steps were central in gaining her customers' understanding and support. Too often we feel we have to keep our problems to ourselves, when in fact sharing the situation with those affected can be very helpful. Until we had our conversation, the supervisor had been focused entirely on how the team internally could fix the problem, without considering how the customers might help. It's a general truth, often not recognised or followed, that anyone affected by the problem has an interest in solving the problem, and so it is worth considering and consulting such a group for their ideas and support. How to get customer support. There were a number of things the supervisor did that made it more likely she would be successful in enlisting that customer support. Customer focus. Her whole approach was to make things better for them, not for her and her team. This means being customer-focused rather than provider-focused. Customers want a solution, not an excuse. Taking responsibility. The supervisor only provided the reason for the problem as a means to explaining the solution, not as a way of avoiding responsibility. Empathy, maybe even sympathy. The reasons for the problem was one that the most of her customers would understand and accept, since they may have had similar situations themselves, so they were already primed to be empathetic. Asking for help. Crucially, the supervisor was asking for her customers' help in solving the problem. After our conversation, it became clear that such help would be a massive contribution to the payroll problem. Being smart. Her request was an excellent example of being smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-framed. So the customer was very clear about what they were being asked to do and that it was totally possible to deliver. Providing benefits, not problems. The supervisor made the customer benefit clear in a classic if-then presentation. If you can do this, then you will get that. If you can hold your calls, then you will get what you need and are entitled to. Patterns persist. The supervisor was surprised and grateful that the new pattern of incoming calls persisted beyond the initial request. But patterns persist. All those customers who had responded positively to the request had, in effect, set up a new daily routine which, over time, became the new pattern, the new habit. And once a habit has formed, often as a result of a routine, then it becomes unconscious and automatic. And unless there is a really good reason to change back, which clearly there wasn't, then the pattern is and will be likely to persist. This is one reason why instituting a new routine, even if it isn't immediately easy or welcome, will, if persisted with, have the opportunity to become an automatic habit. Remember, you can search lots of stories at effectivelearning.co.uk/storytelling. Browse over 50 themes to find the perfect one. You'll also find transcripts and downloads of every story. And of course, if you enjoyed listening, please share and remember to subscribe. And if you have a story you'd like to share, please email us at hello@effectivelearning.co.uk.